the Philadelphia Eagles versus the San Francisco 49ers in a game that when the schedule came out, you're like, ooh, let's circle that one. That'll be a good one. But San Francisco injuries across the board, Philadelphia injuries across the board. What I want to talk about is Carson Wentz is not looking good.
What happened to him?
I don't know.
What's going on over there?
Fantasy Football Almanac show, Dave and I were talking. David was telling me that there's some rumors behind the scenes, like nobody's talking to Wentz on the sidelines. There might be some stuff. His theory is that...
Still with that.
We
right? We heard this 2 years ago, right?
And they got
this
second...
deal?
I don't know, man. They got the second-round quarterback, I think, Jalen Hurts.
These guys don't like him?
I think so.
It might be it.
And there's always turmoil, too, with the coaching staff. It's almost like Philadelphia is an unhealthy organization.
I know.
Top to bottom. Outside of the ownership, I think their front office is fine, but Doug Peterson and Schwartz, they're always like at ends with each other. It seems like Carson Wentz just is not playing ball.
Yeah,
I don't like the
offense.
offense.
Don't like him, and also you'd have to think that an offense would have to like their leader.
Yeah,
and if they don't, they're not going to want to play hard for him, or at the very least, if they don't like him as a person or his personality, they still better respect him. Because there were some receivers back in the day that didn't necessarily like Aaron Rodgers, rumors, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they ever disrespected him. I
right.
think they always thought of him as a true leader and respected that about him.
Yeah.
And maybe these guys on Philadelphia are like, this guy's a putz, this guy's a tool. And maybe subconsciously they don't try as hard for him. Who knows?
Yeah, and there were reported issues with his leadership too, like him showing favoritism and looking for like one guy, namely Zach Ertz, on the field.
Right, yeah.
And it doesn't help that this team can never find an answer at wide receiver. Somebody's always hurt. Like, they can't do anything on the outside. So this offense is basically turned into two tight ends, who, by the way, Dallas Goedert's hurt now. Two tight ends and a running back and maybe a pass-catching running back. I don't like the offensive system, what it's melded into, although it's hard for me to criticize Peterson because you got to look at the personnel. They had some losses in terms of like cuts and everything. Their situation in the cap is worse next year. I think things are getting bad for Philadelphia at this point. Meanwhile, San Francisco, same issue with injuries. They're always injured. You lose Bosa, you lose Solomon, two first round. Yeah. And they still come out and dominate. Now, yes, it was the Giants and the Jets 2 weeks in a row, but they still dominate. They're down to their third and fourth running backs, dominating in the run game. They don't have their starting receiver. They're still getting stuff in the passing. George Kittle's been hurt for the last 2 weeks. They're still getting – and then Jordan Reed went out last game. They're still getting productivity from Ross Dwelley. Top to bottom, there's like – it's next man up, and they're always playing well.
Yeah.
So always. I look at these teams, it's just like they're kind of in similar positions personnel-wise. San Francisco's always hurt, but they're always winning. Philadelphia's hurt, and they're always struggling.
Yeah, different culture. No one's ever talking about how they don't like each other on the Niners. You just put a new guy in, and they're running the system. And
I didn't even mention Garoppolo. Garoppolo's out, and they're winning with the backup quarterback in Mullins.
Exactly. And I think they're going to win again this week. But Wentz. Okay, so his receivers aren't there, and the players are hurt. Well, I'm sorry, but maybe 29 other teams are facing that same thing, right? He's just been inept. He's got the lowest QBR in the league to this point.
Yeah, it's not so good. Let me hit you with the line on this one, man. You got the Philadelphia Eagles +6 according to Bovada versus the San Francisco 49ers. Who you got?
Niners.
I take the Niners too. I think it's hard to pick Philadelphia at this point. When I wrote down the score, I write down my own scores before looking at the lines. That way they don't sway me like subconsciously or anything. I wrote down 26-6. Philadelphia, they're reeling. Losing Goddard hurts them even more. I like Greg Ward, to step up, but you're talking about the San Francisco 49ers here. They're going to get healthy.
Let's talk about this real quick. That year that Nick Foles won the Super Bowl, right? The year that he beat Belichick, right? They were stacked. It was a great, great roster. And
it's the last time they were healthy.
Okay, fair enough. But I believe that year Wentz was 4-4 before he got hurt.
No. That was the year that Wentz was really balling out, and he tore his ACL. I think it was against the Rams. Yeah, they were really good that year, the Eagles. And then
then I'm mistaken.
Yeah, it wasn't that season. It wasn't that season, and he came out, and then Foles took over, and
everybody. I remember it now. Yes, correct. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.